Guys, just a quick note before the video starts. Two things really. First, sorry it took me so long to produce this video. I started out of fun just reading things about cosmology and got lost in it for like 5 days. Then I started working on my house, doing a bunch of construction work on that. And second note is go over to my good buddy Jason Brazeal's channel. He's going to be doing a charity stream for another guy that we know. Named like K or CAE or Say. I don't know how the fuck to say his name. Here he is. Anyway, into the video.
For the love of the Big Bang, atheists, please just shut up.
Well then, time to start talking.
Now it's time to explain why this atheist is going straight to hell.
They purposely making the innocent weak. My existence on this planet's for you. I ain't only here to benefit me.
Okay, now that the trolling of militant atheist is done, let's get into the actual meat of this argument. But first, I'm going to explain a little bit about myself so you can know where I'm coming from. I am not an atheist and I am not a Christian. I am not here to defend Christians either. I myself am a monotheist. I do believe in a single deity and I do not follow any particular religion, although I am biased towards Hinduism.
Believing that an intelligent being created the world is stupid. You should believe that all this complexity came from an explosion.
There it is, keyword, explosion. Hunter, the Big Bang was not an explosion. It should never be described as an explosion, and anyone who does describe it as an explosion is not doing the model or themselves any favors. The Big Bang was nothing more than the moment the universe began, a massive expansion of space that, in a fraction of a second, created nearly all of the matter and energy that we see today.
This right here is my first issue with the Big Bang Theory and how both atheists and creationists seem to view it. The Big Bang Theory does not explain the origin of the universe, but rather it explains how the universe got to where it is now from a set point in time after the existence of the universe was already presupposed. If you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe in PBS and all the sources that they end up providing for this guy's very comment right here.
James Beach writes, "In the beginning there was nothing, which exploded." Now, a lot of non-scientists like to repeat this statement, but no credible scientist has ever said this, nor believes it. So it's unfortunate that this statement is used to deride the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang describes a series of events that happen to the universe following its existence in an extremely hot, dense state. We have a ton of evidence that the universe was once in such a state. Perhaps our understanding of this state will eventually lead to a theory of the origin of the universe. But the Big Bang Theory as it stands does not claim to explain such an origin.
Now you may say that everything in motion needs a cause, and since the universe is evidently in motion, it requires a cause as well. The problem here, however, is that causation requires time, and since time did not exist before the Big Bang does not need a cause like everything we see today. The same goes for the laws of physics and thermodynamics and the fundamental forces of nature and such that say matter and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. However, these laws also require time as well as space and reality, and since time, space, and reality did not exist before the universe did, these laws are void when discussing the origins of the cosmos.
This is another misconception that both people on the side of the fence seem to have, whether or not the laws of physics existed before or only during the existence of the universe. The thing is, the closer to the beginning of the universe you get, the more and more the laws break down into a singularity in which it seems more and more the laws become one and the same law. Now the thing is that the judgment on whether or not the laws existed before or only during the existence of the universe is still very much out there. This is actually very widely debated and discussed amongst the scientific community, with arguments going neither way as far as evidence goes. Eazyonme does end up going into a lot of the evidence that exists for the Big Bang Theory and then digging into biblical cosmology, but none of this really refutes my point about the Big Bang Theory only talking about the existence of the universe after a presupposed point of existence. So we'll be skipping ahead to the next point.
And we all evolved from fish. That's what smart people believe. Dummy.
Ah yes, good old evolution. You likely know that microevolution occurs, microevolution being adaptive changes in a species' gene pool that allows for new traits to arise, such as color changes and other small characteristics that can help survival. Macroevolution is likely what you don't believe, as in the change from one species to another. However, Hunter, a Google search would have told you the macroevolution is indeed possible and has even happened before our very eyes. In the 19th century, during a London digging, a population of mosquitoes found themselves in tunnels. Genetic mutations along with adaptive changes and selective pressures began to pile up. Now, years later, the mosquitoes try to breed with their relatives above ground, and it simply isn't a match. These underground mosquitoes essentially became a new species known today as the London underground mosquito under the genus Culex.
Wow, this mosquito you present as evidence for macroevolution must be incredibly different from... Oh, it's still a mosquito. Now this is one part where I can't help but feel that Eazyonme has built kind of a straw man around what creationists and other people like myself believe in what macroevolution itself is. Nobody disputes the idea that different species would arise from within a genus or into different kinds of creatures. It's no surprise to anybody that wolves, coyotes, dogs, foxes, and other such canines evolved from an original dog-like creature. The issue that takes place would be, for example, the idea of a whale evolving from a deer-like creature. These are extraordinarily large differences that cannot just simply be explained away by minute changes over time. The fact of the matter is that microevolution cannot account for changes into macroevolution. For changes in hair color, leg length, skin color, hair color, things like this cannot simply end up piling up into adding dorsal fins, blowholes, and other such features.
You may ask, what about complexity? There's no way a species can gain genetic information over time, right? Well, you'd be wrong. When DNA is duplicated, usually during the growth of a fetus or embryo, a gene or multiple genes can become duplicated during the process. The duplicated gene can now take on a new role to help the species in question. We've seen this in humans as well. For example, not too long ago, humans were not able to digest dairy products above the age of around 5. However, a mutation in one person allowed for that gene to spread, and coupled with the domestication of cows, goats, and other animals, we now have the ability to digest dairy. This is an added ability and is, at its core, added complexity.
Oh yes, the good old milk argument. I've heard this argument many times, and it never stops to be just as stupid. The issue with the milk argument is that, one, there's a switch that happens when you get to a certain age that turns off your ability to drink milk in people that are lactose intolerant, okay? The removal of that switch, to me, would appear not to be more complication. It would appear to be less complication. The reality of the matter is that this is really no more complicated or less complicated. It's just a flip in the switch of genetic code that you already have in place to do one thing or the other. Just like the flip in your genetic code of whether or not to grow blonde hair or black hair. It's going to go one way or another, okay? And it's going to be different. It's going to change sometimes. You get redheads. But in reality, it doesn't change the differences, and it doesn't change the fact that you're still human. You still had that genetic material, and nothing was added or taken away.
We can move on to solely topics surrounding human evolution, because those are definitely the most interesting. One of the greatest pieces of evidence supporting our common ancestry with pan-troglodytes, or better known as the chimpanzee, is our chromosomes. Each of the great apes have 24 pairs of chromosomes, however humans only have 23. Unraveling our chromosomes showed that during our evolutionary process, likely during our split from the chimp's evolutionary line, 2 chimp chromosomes fused to become one of our chromosomes. That's why, looking at genetic information today, we find that one of the human's 23 chromosomes is made up of 2 spliced chimp chromosomes.
The part right here with me is really just more simple nitpicking. I don't like the fact that we are considered great apes as human beings and we're put in the same family as chimpanzees and gorillas. Because I don't remember the exact numbers, but the differences between human beings and chimpanzees is along the lines of 128 physiological differences. Okay? Brain size, bone makeup, where and how fat and muscle is created, stored, and the way it's connected even. There's massive differences in brain physiology, massive difference in muscle physiology, the shape and contours of bones, just about anything you can name between humans and chimps is different. There's no real similarities there. On the outside, it physically looks similar. Chimps are fairly bipedal, although they really aren't. They have hands. They have hands on their feet too. They kind of have a face similar to humans. They have ears similar to humans. But once you start dissecting the differences, they become massive. It's about the differences literally between a horse and a deer.
There's also the fact that the further you go back in time, the more simpler life forms become. You never see a wolf fossil overlapping with that of a Tiktaalik, or a Homo erectus fossil overlapping with that of an Archosaur. And of course, the oldest fossils are that of simple bacteria and trilobites. This essentially proves that with the passage of time, species become more and more complex.
There's also a fundamental issue with this argument here that I hear all the time. The truth and reality of the matter is that the complexity that you see within a single-celled organism is fucking incredible. It's literally on par with the complexity of a human being. Within a single-celled organism, you have digestive systems, you have a brain area, you have all kinds of sensory organs, all kinds of things within a single creature. Then you can map these things out and put them onto similar things with multicellular organisms and functions. Okay? The only real difference between a single-celled organism and a multicellular organism is obviously the multicells. The thing here is that we have multiple cells doing certain specific functions as to opposed to one large cell that does all of them. The thing is that there's nothing really not complex about an archosaur. What about a Tyrannosaurus Rex seems less complex than anything alive today? What about an ancient crocodilian seems less complex than a modern day crocodilian? There's all kinds of massive examples that I can point to where something seems just as complex as things alive today. You don't believe me? Go ahead and look it up and try to add complexity to things. What you're going to get is a bunch of stupid modifications to creatures like Tyrannosaurus, Velociraptors with wings and thumbs and shit. That's what you're going to get. Anyway, everything else these guys end up going into end up being the morality questions and philosophical questions and ethics when it comes to Christianity, secularism, and other such things. And I really don't care for that stuff because none of it's really a scientific argument. It goes on to say things like, oh, why do we see some homosexual behavior in animals? Then I don't care. So, you know what? Later.
Most of you chumps running around here ain't never had strict parents. Still you out in these streets thinking you hot as can be, without the knowledge to lead, so you just follow the sheep. You been brainwashed by a fake life that you used to living. Yo, society's got you living for a whack cause you a fucking adult with no skills at all. You don't read any books or play ball, you don't draw, you literally do nothing at all. Your lazy ass don't commit to labor. You pick something up, try it out, and put it down 2 minutes later. Then you complain about your life cause it ain't getting catered. Now whoever tries to call you on your bullshit's a hater. They purposely making the innocent weak. My existence on this planet's for you. I ain't only here to benefit me. Yeah, we need to make a change while there's still time. It is hard, and sometimes I struggle trying to reveal mine. I can guide you if you feel blind. I just need you to be willing to journey into my ill mind.